Namaste. Hello, everybody. I'm Raksha Bhide and I'm a yoga therapist at NIMHANS and I'm also pursuing my PhD there. So, my subject is on how yoga can help mental health conditions, and I'm looking into that. So, apart from that, so if I have to tell you about myself, I have made a shift from the corporate field onto this. So, I was also in a job that I did not enjoy. I felt that it really killed my personality, and so I made this swap. And after that, the journey has been absolutely beautiful. And my work deals with catering yoga as a therapeutic intervention. So we're not looking at yoga for fitness per se, like how most of us probably would equate yoga to. The first thing that comes to our mind is postures or physical fitness. But we're looking at something more subtle than that. And we're looking at how yoga is a holistic intervention and a lifestyle intervention. And so the therapy aspect to it, I think we can connect to the psychosomatic aspect. So when we say psychosomatic, it generates from the mind, and then you can see that manifesting on the body. Diseases like diabetes or thyroid issues, PCOS, PCOD are all psychosomatic disorders or lifestyle disorders. So yoga can be applied as a therapeutic intervention there, or we also look at applying it in the psychiatric disorders or mental health component, where the applicability of it ranges from common mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, and it goes on to schizophrenia. So there are also a lot of research studies that are pointing out to how yoga has been validated and tested for how effective it is in these fields. So I think a lot of us youngsters especially have this notion that yoga, I think the first picture that comes to our mind is a yoga mat and getting onto the mat to do asanas. So I would like to emphasize on the fact that yoga is off the mat because it becomes a part of our lifestyle. The most important aspect of yoga is being mindful, I think. And this mindfulness is an extension of who you are at the end of the day. Because I could be eating, I could be having a sip of my tea, or I could be very focused and working, but I would still be in yoga because I'm not maybe on my mat, but I have that single focused mind. So, mindfulness is one very important component that's ingrained with yoga practice. And another important aspect is breath. When you're really angry or worked up, and then you notice that your breath is really fast, and you're either it's very shallow or it's very heavy. And at the same time, if you're just sitting back, enjoying with a cup of chai in your hand and reading your favorite book or whatever it is, your breath is very slow, gentle. So our breath is a reflection of the state of our mind, right? So we use these two important aspects in yoga, that is the breath and the component of being mindfulness. Because using our body and our breath, we're able to tap into our mind or our emotions. Yoga also equates to steadiness and slowness and calming down of the mind. Everything is super fast and we want it fast. Maybe your work, maybe back at home. There is just so much to do that we forget to take care of ourselves. And we do not really prioritize that. Whereas even if it is an illness, that's a physical display. It's even a headache for that matter, I think we would still look at it and take care of it. But when it comes to mental health, because it's not something that is seen or tangible, I think at a backdrop, we're just saying it's okay, which is why it becomes very important to make yoga a part of our lives. How much ever time that you can put in through a day, but putting in that much amount of time to just be with yourself and connect with your breath and your mind and nothing else. So I think just taking that step or that amount of time every day over a continued period of time would help us build in a lot of self-awareness and a lot of positive mental health. And with the world that's becoming so competitive right now, we attribute success to money, to materialistic aspects, to having more. I'm saying, why not equate happiness to success? If there is something that you love doing just for yourself or bringing you closer to that stillness, then why not put in more time into doing that, just as you're dedicating all your other amount of time to something that's attributed to success? Apart from that, practicing just this self-awareness not only strengthens, I think, a connection to your own internal self, but also makes relationships around you blossom and become stronger. When you're talking to somebody, maybe dedicating that entire time to someone, being there 100%, that can help a long way in making sure that we're feeling all right mentally. So I think through the journey and practice of yoga, we don't just become physically flexible, but we become cognitively flexible. So if something doesn't happen your way, then it's okay. You're able to comprehend that, accept that. And that acceptance, I think, goes a long way in recognizing our emotions and keeping us mentally healthy. Because we see that a lot of maybe, a lot of mishaps of suicidal tendencies or maybe addictions, substance abuse, all of this happens at a tender age when a person is still trying to find their identity or trying to find who they are when they're still not developed. And a lot of us, through adults, also still carry that self-image where we're not, maybe we haven't tapped into the true potential of how we are. So I think by the practice of yoga, a whole intervention, the Ashtanga Yoga, I think brings about a lot of awareness within ourselves, which helps us grow as an individual. So I think this whole aspect of mental health was anyway very ingrained in our culture. Because you can see how we have these saptahas or recitation. You have Bhagavata Saptaha, you have Parayanas. That's there in our culture, where probably an entire village gathers together and stories of these Mahapurushas, or stories of inspiration, of how they led their lives, were just told in a huge gathering, and the challenges that these people faced in their everyday life. And these are, I would say, nothing but a huge mass counseling sessions. These are stories that can really move you, stories that can inspire you or motivate you to just be better. Yoga also extends to Bhagavad Gita with Ramayana, and all of these texts also have counseling somewhere or the other depicted. So another thing that I really enjoy doing is music. My mother is a classical singer, so I was just ear trained more of rather than sitting and being trained. So from her, I've picked up a lot of nuances, most important of which I think is bhava and the emotional side to the raga. With playing a flute or singing, I noticed that it's so interrelated to yoga again, because everything is about your emotional, mindful component as well as your breathing. Because when I'm playing the flute, it's nothing but pranayama. There is a lot of exhalation that I have to do, prolonged exhalation, which is what pranayama is also about. So I think even with yoga and music, how I see it is when there is tala. Tala is that there has to be a particular rhythm, right? The tala has to be there. The metronome is always constant. And that is the breath for me. While doing yoga, the breath has to be in rhythm. No matter what happens, what movement you're doing, you keep the tala or your breath going. Whereas Shruti is the pitch. And I think that Shruti can be the backdrop of mindfulness, of how you maintain that amount of awareness or mindfulness. So that Shruti always, which has to be maintained. Whereas the raga is where the bhava comes in. You can select a raga which brings about a particular kind of emotion, like Hamsadvani can be a happy raga and you're practicing that. So I think asanas would come about as raga, which is the main aspect of it, but at the backdrop you have the rhythm, that's the breath, and you have your tempo, or you have your pitch that's also connected. So I don't see them as different, but I see them as an integration where you're aware of not just what you're singing or what you're playing, but you dip and dive deeper into connecting your emotion and your breath to it.